Humans have survived war, famine, and TikTok trends, yet somehow still managed to almost die from absolute nonsense. 1. The man who thought lava was basically warm soup, 170 words. In 2017, a tourist in Hawaii decided that warning signs were merely decorative. While visiting Kilauea volcano, he wanted to see what lava felt like up close. He assumed the bright orange flow was just really hot soup. Armed with flip-flops and optimism, he dipped a stick into molten rock and instantly discovered what 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit means. The stick vaporized, his shoes melted, his dignity evaporated faster than the steam cloud he created. Park rangers dragged him back to safety, where he reportedly complained that the lava should have been fenced off better. Because yes, the problem was definitely the fence, not the decision to poke literal magma. The man survived with minor burns and maximum humiliation, a living PSA that curiosity and Darwin sometimes go on awkward dates. 2. The guy who tried to take a selfie with a bear, 160 words. If you've ever wondered how humanity might lose the evolutionary lottery, look no further than the man who saw a black bear in California and thought, Instagram will love this. Instead of backing away, he crept closer, phone in hand, whispering, "Nice bear," as if it were a toddler. The bear, unimpressed by his influencer energy, charged. He tripped, dropped his phone, and rolled down a hill, narrowly avoiding becoming a mid-morning snack. The footage, yes, it's online, shows him screaming while his phone continues live streaming the chaos. Park rangers fined him for disturbing wildlife, and the internet crowned him a Darwin Award runner-up. His takeaway? It wasn't my fault. The bear was having a bad day. Sure, buddy. Then gravity just misunderstood you. 3. The woman who thought a crocodile farm was a petting zoo, 180 words, Thailand, 2018. A woman visiting a crocodile park wanted to take a brave photo. Staff warned her to stay behind the barrier. She responded with the sacred words of every soon-to-be headline, "It'll be fine." She hopped the fence, leaned in, and posed with her hand over a crocodile's mouth. You know, like a living death wish. The reptile disagreed with her life choices and snapped down. Miraculously, it let go after realizing humans taste mostly like regret and sunscreen. She walked away with stitches and instant fame on the internet's "How did you survive?" forums. When asked later why she did it, she said, "I thought they were trained." Trained for what? Modeling? The crocodile remained calm, possibly because even it couldn't believe the audacity. And that's how one tourist turned a photo op into a masterclass on natural selection avoidance. 4. The man who tried to kill a spider with gasoline, just 80 words. In Seattle, a man spotted a spider in his laundry room and decided that traditional pest control was too basic. Instead, he grabbed a can of gasoline, poured it across the floor, and set it on fire. The spider, being a creature of nature, simply ran under the flames. The gasoline, being a creature of chemistry, spread instantly. Within seconds, the laundry room became a reenactment of a Michael Bay movie. Firefighters arrived to find the man outside, barefoot, holding a hose, shouting that the spider started it. The blaze caused tens of thousands in damages. The spider? Completely fine, probably smoking a tiny cigarette and watching his landlord lose the security deposit. This isn't a survival story. It's a cautionary tale about how fear plus fire equals stupidity with a soundtrack. The man survived, his house didn't, and the spider remains the undisputed winner of nature's most ridiculous rivalry. 5. The woman who fell off a cliff. Taking a selfie, 170 words. In 2019, a woman at Pictured Rock's National Lakeshore in Michigan learned that "do it for the gram" has limits. She backed up to get the perfect shot, because nothing says vacation like risking gravity's opinion. Unfortunately, nature doesn't negotiate with hashtags. One step too far, and she plummeted 200 feet into Lake Superior. Miraculously, she survived with only minor injuries, thanks to landing in deep water. Park officials said this was the 4th selfie-related fall that week. Her defense? The lighting was perfect. That's right, she almost died for golden hour lighting. Somewhere, evolution face-palmed. Later, when reporters asked if she'd ever do it again, she said, "I just use a selfie stick next time." Because clearly the lesson wasn't "don't fall off cliffs," but "get a longer pole." Humanity, ladies and gentlemen, undefeated in overconfidence since the dawn of smartphones. 6. The man who tried to impress a date with a cobra, 180 words. There are bad date ideas, and then there's reptile flirtation. In India, a man tried to woo his girlfriend by showing he could control dangerous animals. He brought home a cobra, yes, a real venomous one, and decided to kiss it for dramatic effect. Spoiler: the cobra did not appreciate the performance. It bit him square on the lip, and instead of seeking help, he tried to walk it off, claiming he was immune to fear and probably venom. 2 hours later, his friends found him unconscious, proving he was only immune to common sense. Miraculously, doctors saved him. When he woke up, his girlfriend had left, and his new nickname around town was Kiss of Death. On the bright side, his story became a cautionary tale on every local dating forum. If your flirting technique involves reptilian affection, you're not charming, you're auditioning for a Darwin Award. 7. The tourist who thought paragliding required no training, 170 words. In Turkey, a British tourist signed up for tandem paragliding, except he misunderstood tandem. Thinking it meant you can go solo after a YouTube tutorial, he convinced the instructor to let him try alone. He sprinted off the cliff, forgetting one minor detail: the harness wasn't attached. Witnesses watched him majestically leap into the air, parachute dragging uselessly behind, until gravity reminded him of its job. Miraculously, he landed in a pile of shrubs, suffering only bruises and eternal shame. The instructor said it was the dumbest thing he'd ever seen, which, coming from someone who works with tourists for a living, is saying a lot. The man later told reporters, "I thought I could figure it out mid-air." Sure, because the best time for first-time learning is while plummeting toward Earth. A perfect reminder that confidence without comprehension is just natural selection wearing a GoPro. 8. The guy who tried to swim across a zoo's crocodile pool, 190 words. Australia never disappoints when it comes to questionable life choices. One night, a man broke into a wildlife park after a few drinks, stripped down to his underwear, and decided to swim across the crocodile enclosure for fun. Security cameras caught him doing the breaststroke, while a 12-foot croc watched like a disappointed lifeguard. Halfway through, he realized that crocodiles move faster than hangovers. The animal lunged, bit his arm, and somehow, through sheer panic and bad luck, he escaped by punching it repeatedly and climbing out bleeding. When police arrived, he said the immortal words, "I thought they were fake." Turns out, in his drunken brilliance, he believed the crocs were animatronic, like Disney World but with more teeth. He survived, barely, and became a national headline titled "Man vs. Croc, the dumbest show on Earth." Moral of the story: if your evening ends with stitches and a police fine, it's probably not National Geographic material. 9. The man who tried to fix his roof with a vacuum cleaner, 180 words. In 2020, a man in Kansas thought he could save money on roof repairs by improvising. The plan? Use his household vacuum to suck up the rainwater. What could possibly go wrong? He climbed onto his roof during a thunderstorm, barefoot, of course, extension cord trailing behind him like a fuse to a disaster. Moments later, lightning struck the metal nozzle. The shock didn't kill him, but it did launch him off the roof and into his neighbor's kiddie pool. He emerged smoking slightly, yelling that the vacuum exploded. The local fire department, once they stopped laughing, reported that he was lucky to be alive and that the vacuum cleaner had died a hero. His only regret? I should have used the shop vac. This man turned a $200 roofing problem into a $4,000 hospital bill and a lifetime nickname, Lightning Larry. Some people fix roofs, others fix themselves into urban legends. 10. The woman who tried to refill a candle with gasoline, 170 words. Some people experiment with aromatherapy, others experiment with physics. In 2015, a woman in Ohio ran out of candle wax but still wanted a cozy vibe. She poured gasoline into a glass jar, dropped in a wick, and lit it. The candle exploded so violently it blew out her kitchen windows and singed her eyebrows into oblivion. Firefighters arrived to find her holding a scorched mason jar and saying, "It burned too fast." That's one way to describe combustion, yes. She told reporters she'd read online that gas burns brighter, proving once again that the internet and intelligence sometimes part ways. Amazingly, she survived with minor burns and a new appreciation for the difference between candlelight and car fuel. Her husband said it best: she wanted ambiance, and she got the whole 4th of July. If stupidity had a scent, it would smell exactly like premium unleaded. 11. The teen who thought skateboarding on a moving train was epic, 190 words. Some teens rebel by skipping class, others by defying gravity. In Chicago, a 17-year-old tried to film a viral stunt, riding his skateboard on top of a commuter train. He hopped the fence, climbed the ladder, and waited for departure like a budget Spider-Man. The train started moving, the camera started rolling, and physics started laughing. At 40 miles an hour, a gust of wind launched him backward. He landed on a service car roof, miraculously unbroken but terrified. Transit police rescued him, confiscated the footage, and handed him a $5,000 fine plus an instant reputation as that train guy. His defense? I thought trains were slower. Ah yes, because thousands of horsepower tend to take it easy for your TikTok career. His friends still uploaded the video under the title Gravity 1, Brain 0. Moral: if your life goal involves surviving a physics lesson, you're doing the curriculum wrong. 12. The man who tried to dry his clothes in the microwave, 180 words. When a bachelor and a household appliance meet, chaos follows. In 2018, a man in North Carolina didn't want to wait for his dryer. His genius solution? Toss his wet jeans into the microwave for a few minutes. 30 seconds later, his kitchen smelled like burnt denim and melting stupidity. The jeans caught fire, the smoke alarm screamed, and he tried to save them by throwing the flaming pants into the sink, where they clogged the drain and set the curtains on fire. Firefighters later confirmed that, yes, microwaves are for food, not Levi's. When asked why, he said, "I figured if it works for pizza, it works for pants." He survived with smoke inhalation and a newfound respect for laundry instructions. His landlord, however, did not survive the insurance claim. It's safe to say his cooking days and his pants were both thoroughly toasted. 13. The camper who slept beside a bear to bond with nature, 170 words. Deep in Colorado, a self-proclaimed nature influencer decided to spend a night connecting spiritually with wildlife. He found a black bear eating berries near his campsite and thought, perfect roommate. Instead of keeping his distance, he laid his sleeping bag down a few feet away, saying, "Animals can sense peace." At 3 a.m., the bear sensed hunger instead and pawed through his granola stash and his backpack. The man woke up to a snout in his face, screamed, and dove into a nearby stream. Rangers later found him hiding in waist-deep water, shivering but alive. His YouTube video was titled "Bear Attack Gone Wrong," as if there's ever a bear attack gone right. The park fined him $500 for harassing wildlife, which is pretty cheap for a near-death spa treatment. When asked what he learned, he said, "Nature's real." Yes, yes it is. 14. The man who thought jet skis. Worked on land, 160 words. Florida never disappoints. A tourist renting a jet ski on the coast decided the ocean was too crowded, so he aimed straight for the beach and kept going. Witnesses watched him accelerate across sand for 20 glorious, physics-defying seconds before the jet ski dug in and catapulted him into a hot dog stand. When police arrived, he was covered in mustard and regret. He told them, "I thought I could just gas it and keep moving." He wasn't wrong. He did move, just not in the direction he intended. Paramedics treated him for bruises and what we'll generously call ego damage. The vendor, who lost an entire day's worth of condiments, said it best, "I've seen bad drivers, but never someone who tried to park a jet ski in my lunch line." Congratulations, sir. You've officially discovered off-road stupidity. 15. The woman who tried to cook a turkey in the bathtub, 190 words. Thanksgiving disasters are common, but this one deserves its own museum wing. A woman in Minnesota decided her oven was too small for a full turkey, so she filled her bathtub with hot water, sprinkled in salt, and declared it a makeshift sous vide. After cooking for 4 hours, she served the pale bird to her family, who noticed it looked alarmingly alive. Within hours, the ER was full of guests suffering from the worst case of food poisoning the hospital had seen that year. When asked why she thought it would work, she said, "Well, we cook pasta in hot water." That's right, she confused a bird with a noodle. Health officials later warned the public that bathtubs are not food-safe environments, a statement that probably shouldn't need to exist. Her family recovered, but Thanksgiving didn't. Somewhere, Julia Child just flipped in her grave, and probably checked her plumbing. 16. The man who tried to stop a chainsaw with his hand, 180 words. In Texas, a man decided safety gear was for cowards. While cutting firewood, his chainsaw jammed. Instead of turning it off like a sane person, he thought he could help it along by grabbing the chain with his bare hand. The result was instant regret and a trip to the ER holding what was left of his glove, and some pride. He later told reporters, "It all happened so fast. That's generally how chainsaws work." His friend said he's the kind of guy who'd test a toaster with a fork, and honestly, no one argued. Surgeons saved his hand, though it now functions as a daily reminder that power tools don't need teamwork. The irony? He wore safety goggles the entire time, so at least he saw his mistake clearly. Darwin missed him by inches, proving that stupidity occasionally benefits from good healthcare. 17. The man who tried to impress a girl by riding a shopping cart down a hill, 180 words. In Portland, a guy thought he'd impress a date by showing off his adventurous spirit. His brilliant idea: ride a shopping cart downhill while holding a can of beer like a victory torch. The hill ended in a parking lot. The cart ended on its side. He ended in an ambulance. Witnesses said he screamed, "Watch this," seconds before vanishing into gravity's open arms, the universal mating call of bad decisions. He broke his wrist, his pride, and probably his dating prospects. When asked why, he said, "It looked fun in Jackass." Ah yes, because trained stunt professionals and concrete parking lots are totally the same thing. His date later told reporters, "He was nice, but I prefer men who walk places." Somewhere, Newton just slow-clapped from beyond the grave. 18. The man who tried to deep fry a frozen turkey indoors, 190 words. Thanksgiving again, America's favorite holiday for testing fire insurance. A man in Illinois decided to deep fry his turkey inside his garage because it's windy out there. He also skipped the thawing step. The result was instant pyrotechnics. The frozen bird met the hot oil, and the fryer responded by launching a fireball into the ceiling. The flames spread, igniting the wall, the car, and his Kiss the Cook apron. He escaped unharmed, but the garage did not. When firemen arrived, he explained, "I followed a YouTube video, but it was shorter." The fire chief, suppressing laughter, said, "Yeah, they probably cut the part where it explodes." The man's family had dinner at Denny's that year, a safer, flame-free experience. Every Thanksgiving since, his neighbors light candles and toast to the Fryer King, the only man to turn turkey prep into a live-action fireworks show. 19. The guy who thought an alligator was a speed bump, 170 words. Florida again, because of course, a man driving home at night saw a dark shape across the road. Assuming it was a log or something, he decided to drive over it. The log moved. It was a 10-foot alligator. The car went airborne for a glorious second before landing sideways in a ditch. The gator, apparently unharmed, crawled away while the man sat there, airbag deployed, reconsidering his entire life. Police later found him and asked why he didn't stop. His response: "Logs don't have eyes." Excellent observation, one that arrived roughly 10 seconds too late. His insurance company called it an act of nature. Locals called it Tuesday. He walked away uninjured, though his car and reputation didn't. Somewhere, the alligator probably tells this story at parties, opening with, "You wouldn't believe what this idiot did last night." 20. The tourist who thought Yellowstone's hot springs were just warm pools, 180 words. Every year, national parks post signs that say, "Do not enter thermal areas." Every year, someone takes that as a personal challenge. One tourist in Yellowstone decided to bathe in a hot spring because it looked relaxing. Within seconds, she discovered that the water wasn't spa warm. It was 200 degrees. Rangers pulled her out, severely burned but alive. She told them she didn't think nature would make water that hot. Ma'am, nature also made lightning and volcanoes. Temperature isn't her main concern. The tragic irony? She'd walked past 6 warning signs to get there, all of which included stick figures melting like marshmallows. It's a miracle she survived long enough to explain herself. Scientists later said she was lucky the spring wasn't one of the acidic ones. Apparently, the only thing hotter than Yellowstone's geysers is human overconfidence. 21. The man who tried to light a cigarette near a gas leak, 170 words. Some people are born curious. Others are born to test fire codes. A man in Pennsylvania called the gas company after smelling fumes in his kitchen. While waiting for technicians, he decided to check if it was really gas by lighting a cigarette. It was. The resulting explosion blew out his windows, set off 3 car alarms, and removed every hair from his body, except his eyebrows, which somehow survived like confused witnesses. Firefighters described the scene as remarkably stupid but survivable. When asked what he was thinking, he said, "I didn't think it would catch that fast." It's gas, not a scented candle. He lived, barely singed, now a walking anti-smoking ad. The neighborhood still tells the story, not as tragedy, but as a masterclass in proving that curiosity may not kill the cat, but it definitely singes the smoker. 22. The guy who tried to outrun a tornado in his pickup. 180 words. In Oklahoma, a man saw a tornado forming in the distance and decided this was his NASCAR moment. Instead of driving away from the funnel, he floored it toward it, claiming he wanted to see what it looked like up close. Spoiler, it looked windy. The tornado picked up debris, his truck spun out, and he ended up stuck in a muddy ditch yelling, "I think I won." He didn't. Storm chasers filmed the entire disaster, later describing him as the bravest fool in the Midwest. Emergency crews rescued him after the twister passed. His truck flipped and dented like a soda can. When asked why he did it, he said, "I thought I was faster." Sure, pal, you can beat a funnel made of wind, cars, and God's bad mood. He survived, but his truck didn't, proving once again that horsepower can't compete with actual power. 23. The man who tried to cook bacon on his car engine. 170 words. In Arizona, a man decided to combine 2 American passions, food and overconfidence. Stuck in traffic on a hot day, he figured he could save time by wrapping bacon in foil and laying it on his car's engine block. He revved the car to keep the heat up. After 30 minutes, the bacon smoked, the foil tore, and the grease caught fire. He popped the hood just in time for a face full of smoke and sizzling humiliation. Firefighters arrived to find him holding tongs and regret. When asked what inspired him, he said, "They do it in movies." Yes, because explosions also look cool in movies. The bacon was ruined, the car scorched, and the driver hungry, both for food and better judgment. Somewhere, a Waffle House cook shed a single tear of laughter. 24. The camper who thought a moose wanted a hug. 180 words. In Alaska, a tourist spotted a moose by the side of the road and decided it looked friendly. Ignoring every sign, every ranger, and basic animal behavior, she walked up with her arms wide open saying, "Hi, big guy." The moose, confused and mildly offended, responded by charging. She dodged into a ditch, screaming, while her husband filmed instead of helping, because apparently love and common sense both froze solid. The video later went viral under the title "When Yoga Meets Wildlife." Rangers fined her for harassing animals, which she found unfair since, in her words, "I was showing affection." The moose survived, unbothered. She survived, enlightened. The rest of us learned that moose do not, under any circumstances, crave affection from strangers wearing yoga pants and optimism. 25. The man who tried to fish with dynamite. 190 words. Some people use bait, others use explosives. In Missouri, a man decided fishing poles were too slow, so he tossed a stick of dynamite into a lake. The fish weren't the only ones surprised. The explosion blew out his boat's bottom, sank his cooler, and launched him waist-deep into the water. Game wardens arrived to find him clinging to a log, yelling that, "It worked, the fish are floating." It also worked on his fishing license, which was instantly revoked. His reasoning? "My granddad did it in the 70s. Yeah, and your granddad probably also smoked indoors and didn't wear seatbelts. He was fined thousands for illegal blasting, plus one soggy ego. When asked if he'd do it again, he said, "Next time, I'll throw 2. That sound you hear? Darwin sharpening his pencil. 26. The man who tried to jump a drawbridge. 180 words. Miami, 2014. A man in a Dodge Challenger saw the drawbridge rising and decided the obvious thing to do was accelerate. Witnesses say he shouted, "Fast and furious, baby!" before flooring it. He made it halfway across before gravity remembered its job. The car slammed nose first into the other side, airbags deployed, and the driver crawled out shouting, "I almost had it." Yes, almost. In the same way a turkey almost flies. Police arrived, unimpressed, and charged him with reckless driving. His explanation? "I saw it in a video game." Which really sums up the modern human condition, mistaking Grand Theft Auto for a driver's education course. He survived, the car didn't, and local mechanics reportedly started referring to his stunt as the Miami Leap of Nope. 27. The man who tried to pet a lion through the cage, 170 words. At a zoo in South Africa, a tourist decided barriers were just suggestions. He leaned over the railing to pet a lion, ignoring signs that said, "Do not approach." The lion, unimpressed with his boldness, reached out and grabbed his arm like a bad customer service rep. Screams followed, zookeepers rushed in, and the man was lucky to escape with a mauled sleeve and a permanent story for family dinners. When asked why he did it, he said, "It looked calm." Of course it did. So do ovens before you touch them. The lion, doing what lions do, was fine. The man spent a night in the hospital and a lifetime on every "Don't Be This Guy" slideshow in the park's safety training. His final quote to the news? "I just wanted to feel the king of the jungle. Congratulations, sir. You got touched by royalty." And there you have it, 27 shining examples of how humanity keeps losing the IQ Olympics. Which one deserves a Darwin Award nomination? Drop your vote below, and remember, curiosity didn't kill the cat. Stupidity did.